Yo, America, let's talk about fraud, baby. It's a bigger problem than you think. We're talking trillions of dollars vanishing into thin air, and guess what? We all pay the price. Fraud is like that annoying leak in your roof. You ignore it for a while, thinking it's not a big deal, but before you know it, it's a full-blown monsoon in your living room and your insurance premiums are through the roof. Except with fraud, it's not just your house that's getting soaked, it's the entire economy. Businesses lose money, prices go up, and jobs disappear. Fraud affects all of us, and it's time we started taking it seriously. Stay tuned, because in the next section, we're going to break down exactly how this whole fraud thing works. All right, folks, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. How does fraud actually happen? Is it just a bunch of evil geniuses out there plotting to steal our hard-earned cash? Well, it's a little more complicated than that. You see, fraud is like baking a cake. Enter the fraud triangle, a concept cooked up by this criminologist dude named Donald Cressy. It's basically a framework for understanding why people commit fraud. The three sides of the triangle are pressure, opportunity, and rationalization. Pressure is like the heat that's pushing someone towards fraud. Maybe they're drowning in debt, facing pressure at work, or dealing with a gambling addiction. Opportunity is the open oven door, beckoning them with the promise of easy money. Maybe they have access to company funds, lax security protocols, or the ability to fudge some numbers without anyone noticing. Finally, rationalization is the icing on the cake, the way they justify their actions to themselves. Whatever the excuse, they've convinced themselves that it's okay. Now, let's move on to some real-life examples of how this stuff plays out in the real world. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Hassan, but I'm not some Wall Street hotshot. How does this fraud thing affect me? Oh, my friend, fraud is everywhere. It's like that catchy pop song you can't get out of your head, except instead of ruining your day, it's ruining people's lives. Let's start with something we've all probably done, or at least been tempted to do, fudging those expense reports, adding a few extra miles to that business trip, slipping in a personal lunch with a client, or claiming that $20 coffee machine as a business expense. But the thing is, all those little white lies add up. And when everyone's doing it, it creates a culture of dishonesty that can spiral out of control. Then there's identity theft. It's like someone broke into your house and stole your most prized possession, your good name. They're out there opening credit cards in your name, racking up debt and ruining your credit score, and you're left picking up the pieces, trying to prove you're not the one who bought that life-size cardboard cutout of Danny DeVito. These days, the internet is like a giant flea market for fraudsters. Fraud might seem like a victimless crime, but the truth is it affects all of us. Section 4, when greed knows no bounds, high-profile fraud cases. All right, enough small-time stuff. Let's talk about the big leagues, the fraudsters who make Bernie Madoff look like an amateur. Take Enron, for example. This energy giant was the darling of Wall Street until it all came crashing down in 2001. Turns out they were cooking the books, hiding billions of dollars in debt and inflating their profits. Then there's Theranos, the blood testing startup that promised to revolutionize healthcare. They had it all, a charismatic CEO, a revolutionary product, and billions of dollars in funding, but it was all a lie. The technology didn't work, and the company was built on a foundation of deception. And let's not forget about the OG of fraudsters, Bernie Madoff. These high-profile cases show that fraud can happen anywhere, at any level. Section 5, fighting back, prevention and protection. Okay, so we've talked about the problem, we've looked at the examples. Now what? Are we just supposed to sit here and wait for the next fraudster to strike? Hell no. We fight back. We educate ourselves, we protect ourselves, and we hold these criminals accountable. First and foremost, knowledge is power. The more you know about fraud, the better equipped you'll be to spot it and avoid it. Pay attention to your bank statements, monitor your credit reports, and be wary of any unsolicited offers that seem too good to be true. Secondly, let's talk about cybersecurity. We live in a digital world, which means we need to protect our digital assets. Use strong passwords, be careful about what information you share online, and keep your software up to date. But it's not just about protecting yourself, it's about holding institutions accountable. We need stronger regulations, more robust enforcement, and a justice system that takes white-collar crime seriously. Fraud might be a pervasive problem, but it's not insurmountable. By working together, we can create a world where honesty and transparency prevail.